Hello and welcome back to Hobby Night. I'm Angela, and today you're joining me on part 1 of my 20-part series where I paint the Elder God Cthulhu.
Hold up!
Is there a problem?
Yes, there is a problem. You're starting a 20-episode series painting this pretender when the 4 chaos gods have provided you with a target-rich environment in which to ply your artistic abilities.
Well, I thought something big would be kind of fun.
Come with me, Angela. We need to talk. Come with me. Come with me over here. Come with me over here. We need to talk about this.
This wall? This wonderful wall
this
of miniatures?
wall of shame.
It's true.
No, you're supposed to say it's a wall of opportunity.
Oh my gosh, it's a wall of opportunity,
No,
not shame.
Oh, well, that says you. I say it's a wall of shame, what with its array of really cool shit. So,
that's
before you go and start some 20-episode crusade on behalf of some eldritch god, why don't you find something in here? You know what? I know what the problem is.
What's
you
the problem?
want a challenge, don't you? That's
I do.
why you're taking on something so large and intimidating. Very well, let's see. What are the Chaos Gods fond of? Numbers!
They are.
They are very fond of numbers. So how about a painting challenge?
I like this idea. What did you have in mind?
You can paint a squad because, dear God, you need to get through some of this stuff. So you must paint a squad. This will teach you a lesson.
That's fair.
A lesson on getting work done. Yes. So you must pick a squad and you must paint it with only 5 colors.
5 colors. Does that include primer and a base texture paint?
7 colors.
Okay.
I think Korn will be happy with that.
I think he might be.
Yes.
No, Nurgle. Nurgle likes 7.
Yes, that's what.
Oh. That actually gives me an idea. What if...
Nurgle? We're going with Nurgle. I see more Mortarian.
No. We're not going with Nurgle, but we are going with something that I think can use a little bit of green. What about some Skaven Blood Bowl? That silly Chaos Cultist, he thinks his 7-color challenge is going to stump me, but I have a plan. Oh, hey guys, did you know that today's episode is brought to you by Skillshare? Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of online classes and users from over 150 different countries who've all come together to take the next steps in their creative journey. Now, I've talked a lot about how Skillshare is great for improving your soft skills or getting started in social media, but today is all about the art tutorials. I'm currently enjoying Jazza's Mastering Illustration, Sketching, Inking, and Color Essentials, which has really helped me reconnect with my love of drawing. And if you want to reconnect with a skill or start a new one, now is the perfect time. Because Skillshare's classes and in their entire catalog is now featured in subtitles in Spanish, French, Portuguese, and German. So there's never been a better time to support me and join Skillshare today. The first 1,000 people to use the link in the video description or my code will get 1 month free on Skillshare. Thank you again to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to the challenge. All right. We have a painting challenge, and I've had to be very deliberate with what colors I'll be using. And I think I have a secret weapon, which is what we're going to be starting with, and that is Basilicanum Gray. I really debated what I wanted to do for their fur and for their flesh because I knew I wasn't going to have a lot of options. And ultimately, I decided that a darker color tone and especially a gray color tone might work really well. Basilicanum can be very, very pale if it's thinned down, or it can end up being very, very dark if you lay it on very heavily, and I'm going to use that to my advantage here on their flesh as well as their fur. This will allow me to differentiate the two from each other and give a little bit more variety even though I've got a limited color palette. I'm also going to be using Basilicanum Gray on anything that needs to be base coated for the armor because I want to have something dark underneath there just to have the paint stick a little bit better. Once we've got that down, we're going to move on to some of those metallic color tones. And the only one I'll be using today is Leadbelcher. I wanted something that was a rough iron. I just felt like it fit with the football theme, honestly. And I think it'll function really nicely with the green that I'm going to be using on their uniform later. Once we have that color down on all of the armor, any of the weapons, or any of the clasps that might be on their uniform, we're going to move back into Basilicanum Gray, thinning it down a little bit this time to use as a wash over top all those metallics I just did. And at this point, if there's any places on their face, hands, arms, or anything like that where I feel like I want the color to be a little bit darker, I'll go ahead and reapply this now.
There's no way she'll be able to overcome this challenge. Let's go check on her and see if it has broken her yet. How are you, Angela? Why are you smiling?
Well, because I'm actually really happy with how this is going so far, and I've only used 3 of my 7 colors, one of which was Wraithbone for some cleanup, which frankly was the most tedious part of this project so far. But now that they are clean, I can move on to some of the more fun colors of this schematic. But before I move on to that, I really just wanted to talk about how happy I am with, in particular, how the flesh on these rats has come out. Because of the limited color palette that I'm working with, I wanted to make sure I was going to be using a paint that I could build up and layer on to get an actual color difference on the flesh from the fur. And the gray color tone has worked perfectly for that. So I'm just overall really excited for this. We have a couple other things I'm going to do to really enhance the flesh a bit more, but for now, let's go ahead and work on their uniforms. Next up, we're actually going to move into painting their uniforms and start playing with some bolder colors. And I picked out a couple that I think are going to fit thematically with the Skaven, as well as just delighted me to work with. The first of which is going to be Camo Creed, which is a nice dark green that can be thinned a little bit to brighten it up. And I really love the way this works on their cloaks and cloth for their uniforms. I especially love it on the runner that I have with that cape flowing back. It just looks so cool, and I think the green works perfectly, even though it's not quite Warp Lightning. Once we're done with the green, we're going to move on to Iyanden Yellow, because this time I want it to be a little bit cheesy, because I've got some rat boys, and I think I'm going to end up naming this particular team something cheddar. And this color works perfectly for it. If I get a little bit of that orange undertone, I don't really care. This is going to be used on any of the horned rat symbols in the center for the triangles, as well as on their armor, like their shoulder pads, and the underside of my runner's cape. I really wanted it to have a little bit of a two-tone so it stood out a bit more, and also the leathers. Basically, anything that's not cloth is going to be yellow. Once we're done with that, we just have to take care of their adorable little naked tails. And for this, I decided to go with Seraphim Sepia. Now, the reason I went with a wash rather than a traditional either contrast paint or just standard acrylic paint is because I thought the paler color tone would work to my advantage, especially on their tails, but also as a glaze on their faces. This will help me accent their teeth, do a little bit of interior work on their mouths without having to use a little bit of red, and put a little bit of warmth into their cheeks and give them a bit more variety, which I really love how that turns out. All right, the rats are done, and I actually think they look pretty gosh darn good, especially for the limited color palette that I got to use. But we have a few more things to take care of, and that is the base. And for that, I'm going to pull out...
There's no way you'll be able to pull it off! You have but one paint remaining! It will look dull and bland!
He thinks that, but I have a plan. So, we're gonna put some Stirland Mud down, relatively thinly.
Oh, Stirland Mud! Oh.
And then we're gonna come back in with Wraithbone.
What?
Yes, our primer color. I originally thought I was going to end up using this color on their teeth and claws, but it's actually a little brighter than I wanted. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use it to dry brush the dirt and make that stand out a bit more. And then the Chaos Cultist did not.
What?
He did not say anything about tufts.
What?
So we're gonna
Tufts.
They're not paints. So I'm going to tuff the bases to add a little bit more flavor, something a little green, and I love the way these rats turn out. Let's take a look at the final results. And here they are. Well, I mean, I'm holding one of them because it's kind of hard to hold all 6 of them. But you know, they're in the video and they look fantastic. I really enjoyed this challenge. I'm really glad that Chaos Cultist actually challenged me to try to get more than one model done in a week, because frankly, as much fun as it is sometimes to work on the characters, painting a full squad and actually batch painting for a little bit I just haven't done it a lot, and honestly, it was nice. It was a nice change, and I'm really glad I did this. Plus, I'm 6 into my Blood Bowl team. I only need 6 more, and then I've got a brand new team I can play with, which is fantastic because I've been really, really enjoying playing Blood Bowl at my local game store in the league I've been participating in. I've been running my Necromantic Horrors, but I've actually fought some Skaven. They were very fast, and I kind of want to try a little bit of passing, and these boys do that. I'm also just really pleased with how actually sporty they look. Because of the limited color palette, it actually really worked to the advantage, I think, of the Blood Bowl teams, which is kind of why I picked it.
Curse you and your intelligent choices!
That's right. I used my brain for this one. But I really am very happy with them. I hope this inspires you to maybe try out a limited color palette yourself, see what you can get out of it, especially when you're working on infantry, because I think they are really approachable with this sort of method.
Good, but if you thought it was over, you are sorely mistaken, for as I said, the Chaos Gods do enjoy themselves some numbers. So this is but the first of 3 challenges.
I'm excited
for the next challenge of the ultimate evil, the ultimate destruction, capitalism.
I have been Angela. I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons before I head out, because without their support, we would not be doing this. So thank you guys very, very much. And I hope you have a wonderful hobby night.